Welcome to the Not Old Better Show, the show covering all things health, wellness, culture, and more. The show for all of us who aren't old, we're better. Each week, we'll interview superstars, experts, and ordinary people doing extraordinary things, all related to this wonderful experience of getting better, not older. Now, here's your host, the award-winning Paul Vogelzang.
Welcome to the Not Old Better Show on radio and podcast. I'm Paul Vogelzang, and today's show is brought to you by Travelan. As part of our Heathy Travel Interview series, we are joined today by health, wellness, nutrition, and gut health expert, registered nurse, and health consultant, plus returning guest, Stacy Koski. Stacy Koski is a registered nurse who works at Balance Nutrition, educating travelers like those of us in the Not Old Better Show audience about travel medicine, treatment for travel-related illness, and the necessary travel vaccinations, working closely with the Center for Disease Control and the World Health Organization. With holiday travel season upon us and many of you asking about safe travel inside and outside the U.S. for you and your families, I invited Stacy Koski to join us again from Balance Nutrition to offer some tips, suggestions, education, and guidance about the prescription-free approach to solving digestive health issues. Please join me in welcoming back to the Not Old Better Show on radio and podcast, our Heathy Travel Interview series, health expert Stacy Koski. Stacy Koski, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
It's good to talk to you again. Our prior conversations have always been so popular with our audience, and I'm excited about catching up to you. Of course, we're going to talk about gut health, which I think is just so crucial for all of us to be thinking about, especially as we're getting ready to celebrate holidays, maybe, go on some vacations, doing a little bit of travel. And in particular, our audience, certainly our audience of older adults and their family members, we all experience some changes in our digestive system, particularly, I suppose, as we age. And I wonder if you could touch on, with your medical experience, touch on a little bit about how gut health actually evolves with age. And in particular, what steps older travelers can take, but also what steps all of us can take to really maintain a healthy digestive system as we're on vacation.
That's such a good topic. And gut health is something that over the years we have found to be more and more important for our overall health and well-being. I always like to explain the human body to be similar to a tree. We start off as an infant baby sprout, and then we grow into this big, beautiful tree. But then we eventually start to decay, and all of our organs and all of our body decays. It's just part of the kind of wonderment of life. Mm-hmm. And so as a result, our digestive system also will shift. And something that we're seeing is that certain enzymes and digestive enzymes that we have in our body when we're born start to dissipate. So it's really important that, one, we be conscious of foods that we eat and identify things that maybe don't make us feel good. I always like to think of it as, if we eat, we want to feel energized because we just got our car fueled up, right? Mm-hmm. So our car being our human body mm-hmm. vehicle. And if we eat something that makes us not feel good and we want to go and lay down and take a nap, then we don't want to eat that. Mm-hmm. And so for travelers, I think a lot of people may remember what they shouldn't eat when they're at home, but when they start traveling, they start indulging. And that negatively impacts their digestive system because they're eating things that their body doesn't really assimilate well with anymore. And that could be a slew of things. It could be dairy products or gluten, or it could be something silly like tomatoes. So I think it's really important for people to honor those things. Also, anyone who's traveling can take digestive enzymes with them, and that will help so that if they do eat something that upsets their stomach, the enzymes will help their body to digest those things.
I think that's a really good way of putting it. If we think of our body as a car, what makes it go is what we want to stick with. What makes it lull and not go is what we want to kind of avoid. I really like that idea. The other thing that's out there these days is, all kinds of food theories and diets, and we hear a new one practically every day. What are some of the choices that really do support proper digestion as we travel, and how do those choices affect our overall wellness, not just gut health?
So I always encourage people, the fad diets and everything are, unfortunately, they're money-driving entities. But if we get back to the roots, so we eat whole foods, we eat whole animal protein, we eat fruits, we eat vegetables, we eat good quality whole grains like rice or quinoa, or even like a whole wheat bread that's made at home or in a bakery or something that's not full of preservatives. All these things can help to support our digestive system. Also, fermented foods and cooked vegetables are really amazing for helping with digestion and encouraging our body to work through and absorb the nutrients, because also our immune system is supported by having phytonutrients in our body. So, of course, for travel, especially international travel, I always tell people it's the non-salad diet because we want them to eating cooked vegetables and peelable fruits and things like that. But cooked vegetables are a great option to help to support the digestive system while traveling or just during the holidays in general. The biggest thing for people to avoid, if possible, stay away from those packaged processed foods and sugar. Those things are going to kill your digestive health, and actually they're horrible for your overall health and wellness. A lot of times people get sick during the holidays, and part of it is because we consume more sugar. Everybody loves a Christmas cookie or a bundt cake every once in a while, but if we consume more of those things, it can actually suppress our immune system, which in turn then the germs and bugs we're exposed to can latch hold of us.
Thank you for that. Yeah. You know, the other thing that we hear an awful lot of is detoxification, popular concept in wellness. I wonder if you just shed some light on how our bodies naturally do that. How do we naturally detoxify? And whether there are some methods we ought to consider as we travel to aid this process so that we're really enjoying holiday festivities.
Such a good topic. So detoxification, I always like to explain that our bodies, I like to use analogies, but our bodies are an amazing septic tank that naturally detoxify the things out of our body that we don't need. So our liver and our kidneys are two major organs that process the detoxification of our cells. One of my absolute favorite old time strategies is to drink hot water and lemon in the morning. And this supports our liver and our kidneys. So basically you have an 8-ounce glass of hot or warm water, and you squeeze a lemon wedge of a lemon into the water, let it steep for 2 to 5 minutes, and then enjoy. Such a good way to start your day. It actually encourages bowel movement, which is our way of removing toxins. And it will also help to support the liver and kidneys in kind of flushing out those toxins that we don't need. It's such a great thing that you can even do when traveling, because a lot of times hotels are happy to give you hot water and wedges of lemon that you can have right to your room. But I actually think it's one of the best detoxification properties or processes. It's gentle. It's something you do every day, so it supports your daily detoxification. I highly discourage people trying to do like juice cleanses and stuff while they're traveling or during the holiday season, because our body's in hibernation mode, even if we live in a hot climate. So we're going against our body's natural rhythm. If juice cleanses really should be allocated only to summertime, if at all. But gentle daily detoxification is really our best option. And, you know, that's probably one of my best tips that pretty much anyone can do.
Yeah, good. Another good set of tips. You know, it seems like over the holidays, we're always experiencing some wonderful, indulgent, perhaps, meal that's offered to us. And then we're always on these irregular schedules with travel. So maybe share a few wellness tips that older travelers, their families, grandchildren, what can we do to maintain health, even in light of some of these indulgent meals that were presented, but also give us some energy as we're traveling so that we can just enjoy the holiday season?
Absolutely. So 2 things. 1, drink lots of water. Water is going to help to flush the body. Actually, a lot of times when we're feeling low or low energy, it's because we're dehydrated. And during different times of the year, we have different struggles. the winter months, it's cold out, so we're not thinking, oh, I need to drink water. During the summertime, it's so hot, we're evaporating our fluid in our body just from the heat and sweating. So, it's almost hard to keep up with the fluid. So drinking water is one of the best things. It's also going to help with indulgent meals because it's going to make us feel full. So we're not confused with being hungry when really we're just dehydrated or thirsty. A fun fact people don't know is for every caffeinated or sugary beverage, so say you have an 8-ounce cup of coffee, you really need to have 2 8-ounce glasses of water, so 16 ounces to put you back at zero, to get you back to just baseline. So you're not even adding to your hydration yet. So you actually need 3 8-ounce glasses of water to compensate for 1 8-ounce cup of coffee. So hydration is key. The other thing is, which people think maybe this isn't nutrition, but it kind of is to move your body. If you can try to move your body in some capacity every day, whether it's a walk, doing 50 push-ups and 50 sit-ups, you could do the push-ups up against the wall, doing something to get your blood flowing. These things will really, really help, not only with helping to keep you make better choices. If you're like, man, I just walked for 30 minutes, maybe I only want to have 1 cookie instead of 5. And, it's a good way to keep us on track. And for anyone, movement doesn't have to be crazy. You can dance in your living room. You can go for a walk. You can do a couple minor calisthenic-like activities. And you could, for 15 or 20 minutes, that's enough.
We are with Stacy Koski. Stacy Koski is a registered nurse. She's a wellness and health and exercise expert. We will put links so that our audience can find out more about Stacy Koski's work. Of course, Stacy has been a guest in the past and so impressive and such an audience favorite too, Stacy. We just always enjoy talking to you. I want to ask you a couple questions now about if we're planning trips to exotic destinations, because, that's going to entail vaccinations against diseases like diarrhea. We, of course, know about Imuron's product, Travelan, which offers this supercharged colostrum. That's a really great tool to have in your medicine kit as you travel. But I wonder if you'll explain to us the importance of some of these vaccinations for older travelers and their grandchildren, and how we really need to prepare for those.
Absolutely. I always recommend people that if you're going to a destination that you have never traveled to, especially outside of the United States, it is very wise to talk to your primary care physician or seek advice from a travel health specialist, either a physician or a nurse. There's lots of different places. Your local health departments are some of the places where you can find some of these experts. And it's important to discuss vaccinations because there are diseases out there that we don't have here in the United States, but are very real contractable diseases internationally. And I do think sometimes we think, oh, well, it's not going to happen to me. And I will tell you, almost every person that I've ever spoken to who has contracted one of these illnesses, including my sister, thought, oh, this will never happen to me. My sister went to Bali and got typhoid for 30 days there. And it took 3 months to treat her. It didn't kill her. Because I think that a lot of people think, well, is it going to kill me? It doesn't necessarily kill you, but man, is it going to ruin your trip? So I always encourage people to definitely check in and be educated. It doesn't mean you have to get vaccinated, but be educated about what your risks are so that you're more prepared for your amazing trip that you're paying a lot of money for to go on.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I hope your sister is okay now. The other thing that we hear about an awful lot is zinc and vitamin C for travel. It helps to prevent some common illnesses. Are there some other supplements that you might recommend that might be beneficial for travelers, particularly to avoid some of these stomach conditions and some of the other health concerns that you might face during a overseas journey?
Absolutely. So zinc and vitamin C are amazing. I also like to throw in there elderberry syrup because all of these things help to support and boost our immune system. So it doesn't prevent us from being exposed to these germs, but it makes it so that if we are exposed, our body is able to wipe them clean before they can grab hold of our system and cause us to have a full-blown illness. I've felt this before, and I'm sure other people listening have too, where maybe your spouse or your child child is sick and you don't get sick, but you kind of feel more run down or you kind of don't feel quite on your game, well, that's because your immune system is fighting off the disease to keep you from getting full-blown sick. So when we take supportive products that help to boost our immune system, it helps to keep us well. In addition to that, for traveler's diarrhea, Travelan is an amazing product because it prevents you from getting sick, which I think we all know nobody wants to get traveler's diarrhea. And
Right.
I think it's somewhere around 200,000 people a day get traveler's diarrhea. And again, not something that's necessarily going to kill you, but sure, you are going to miss out on a couple of days of your very wonderful adventure. So those are a few things that I think are really important for people to add into kind of their repertoire.
Yeah, and thanks for mentioning Travelan too. I referred to it earlier. It is really something that is it's scientifically developed. You know, it has this clinical element to it, research behind it. The U.S. military, Army, and Navy use it, so it's something really, I think, for our audience to consider as they're traveling. What are some of the common stomach ailments that we need to be aware of?
I mean, so cholera is something that's a stomach ailment. E. coli, salmonella. These are all things that are real because it has to do with food and fluid. It has to do with how things are prepared, how things are stored. And so these are all important things that we're trying to prevent from having. So Travelan is a great prevention because it is designed to encapsulate these microbugs and flush them from the body before they are able to latch on and manifest in the system. And, you know, it's always important to have things, and you can talk to your physician about this, traveling with antibiotics so that if you do get sick, you have something to treat yourself with because unfortunately, especially if you get some of these microbugs in your body, they can get worse and worse if they're not treated. And that's why I've always been a big fan of Travelan because it prevents it rather than having to get sick and then having to make sure you have a treatment for something.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned water, and I think hydration is such an important issue, especially as we're traveling car, airplane for an extended period. We might just forget about it, but it's one thing to be concerned about hydration for ourselves, but it's something else to really recognize that young children need it as well. And I wonder if you just touch on the value of hydration again, maybe just drive this point home to our audience, but make sure to pay attention to those around you too. It's something that, young children really need to know a little bit about too. And then if grandchildren are in your care, make sure that they stay hydrated too.
Oh, it's such a good point. And, hydration helps to keep our blood volume flowing in our body, right? So especially if we're in the car or on airplanes, if we're dehydrated, that increases our risk for blood clots. And kids are less prone to them than older adults. But if as a collective, as a team traveling, grandparents, children, grandchildren, whoever it is, if we all try to remember to drink water, then collectively we're all going to be better off. I love to travel with a recyclable water bottle. That way we can track how much water we're consuming. And there's so many fill stations anymore everywhere. But you can always just buy a water bottle at a gas station or at the airport as well. And just be mindful of watching, okay, it's 32 ounces, so I want to make sure I drink 2 of these in a day. And I also want to make sure that my grandkid is also drinking that as well. Because dehydration is going to make us tired. It's going to make us cranky. It's going to increase our cravings for foods that we shouldn't have. It's going to compromise our immune system. Water is so important. I like to call it liquid gold because it really is such an important part of our human body makeup.
Mm-hmm. Final question for you, Stacy Koski. You're your breadth of knowledge is really tremendous, and I always enjoy talking to you. Tell us a little bit more about exercise as it relates to our overall health, because sometimes it can be challenging. You gave us a couple of really great examples of perhaps doing some dancing, but when we're on the flight, it's hard to get up and kind of dance in the aisles without just, creating a big scene, I think. We want to be careful about that. But give us a few additional tips about staying active, maybe while we're at the airport or during some road trips. How can we ensure that we're going to maintain this level of exercise, our routines while we're on vacation.
Well, Paul, wouldn't it be fun if people started dancing on airplanes and they started putting
as
them
I was
on
talking
YouTube?
about that, I thought that might be kind of interesting. But yeah, I don't know.
It'll be a whole thing, and they can tag us. But in all seriousness, actually, this kind of loops hydration back into it. I always tell people if you're drinking enough water, it makes it so you have to get up on a flight. And as much as you hate annoying your neighbor, maybe you can tell them, hey, you should be drinking more water and needing to get up too.
Yeah.
And on the long flights, I love it because they always have kind of like more space between the seats and the bathrooms. So this is a great place to get up, do a quad stretch, maybe do a couple squats, utilize the short period of time that you get up to use the restroom to kind of move your body a little bit. Maybe you don't have to pace the aisles, but you're still stretching and moving your body, even doing push-ups up against the wall there, which you don't need a lot of space for. Same thing with road tripping. When you get out at a gas station to fill up or to grab a snack in the gas station, do some squats, do a couple things to move your body. It doesn't have to be a ton to get your blood circulating. And I think that's the huge component of exercise or moving your body when traveling. It's all about the blood flow. We want those little blood molecules circulating through our body. And so if we work our heart where we're making our heart work harder, it's making our blood flow. So it's preventing blood clots. It's getting oxygen to all the parts of our body that need it, and so that's a key component. And that's where I think a lot of people feel kind of stumped when they hear exercise because they're like, well, I can't get on a treadmill or ride a bike or lift weights. Exercise is movement, and that's it. And that's all you have to do to get that heart going and get that blood flowing. I think that's going to be my new phrase.
I like that. I like that a lot. We're going to make sure and have that as part of our notes, too. I guess, I said that was the final question, but I guess I ought to go back and make one point because it did certainly strike me as you were talking that your solutions really are so they're simple solutions to put in place for ourselves, but they're also prescription-free wellness, prescription-free exercise, prescription-free gut health. I think that's important to point out too. You don't always need to get a prescription in order to stay healthy when you travel.
Oh, most definitely. I think what we can do at home or for ourselves is so simple. It's almost overlooked because it's like, is it really that easy? But, sometimes in life it is that easy. So prescription-free options are so key with health and wellness for travel. And it makes it so you're going to have a great trip too. So it's worth it.
Well, Stacy Koski, it's always so great to talk with you. I hope that if you're traveling, you have a great trip, and certainly my best to you and yours during the upcoming holidays. Thanks for stopping by again. We'd love to have you back. I know our audience is always so interested in this topic, so please stay in touch and come back and talk to us about gut health and wellness and exercise.
Absolutely. Thank you, Paul, for having me.
Thanks, Stacy. Thanks to Travelan for sponsoring today's show. And remember, Travelan is a drug-free alternative to antibiotics. And my thanks to Stacy Koski, health, wellness, nutrition, and gut health expert. Stacy Koski is a registered nurse and a health consultant. We will put links so that you can find out more information about Stacy Koski and her business, Balanced Nutrition. It's been important to discuss this, especially at this time of year, and Stacy Koski will be back soon to discuss many other travel, nursing, and nutrition subjects. Thanks to you, our wonderful Not Old Better Show audience here on radio and podcast. Remember, let's talk about better. The Not Old Better Show. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Not Old Better Show. To find out more about all of today's stories or to view our extensive back catalog of previous shows, simply visit notold-better.com. Join us again next time as we deep dive into some of the most fascinating real-life stories from across the world, all focused on this wonderful experience of getting better, not just older. Let's talk about better. The Not Old Better Show.
Hi, one final thing. Today's show was edited for length. To hear the full interview, please check out our website for this episode and all episodes at notold-better.com or subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts. And be sure to check out your local radio stations to find out more about the Not Old Better Show on podcast and radio. You can find us all over social media. Our Twitter feed is Not Old Better, and we're on Instagram at Not Old Better too. The Not Old Better Show is a production of NOBS Studios. I'm Paul Vogelzang, and I hope you'll join me again next time to talk about better. The Not Old Better Show. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. For listeners who need to be made aware of Travelan, it's a dietary supplement that offers digestive tract protection while either traveling or at home. The Therapeutic Goods Administration, a local health authority in Australia, has listed Travelan as an over-the-counter medication that helps lower the risk of travelers' diarrhea. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. Travelan is available worldwide and at Amazon.com in the U.S. Please check out our show notes today for more information about Travelan.